Yeah, so thank you for joining us for another edition of Legacy Building with AV. Today we have the honor of having Mr. London, Andrew Grossett, here joining us all the way from London. He is a real estate owner. I mean, not owner, but he does own real estate, but he is a realtor in London, and he could help you guys if you guys are looking for a property or an investment property, whatever it is. He's your guy. So basically make sure you go and follow his page and, you know, get some tips, buy some real estate. So with that being said, Andrew, how are you today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. It's early morning. I know it's afternoon for you.
Yeah, very much so.
Very much so. So you probably having a busy day, probably have some more follow-up showing some houses today, or is it day off?
There's not really a day off. Today's a bit different so my best friend, I'm going to meet him at his son's school today, just to go and pick him up from school, just to get that extra interaction. Then I've got to then I've got a viewing to do this evening before heading home. So
That's nice. So
yeah,
making time for family and building.
we try in between
I
time.
love that. So let's Like, what inspired you to start pursuing your passion, and what was the defining moment that set you on this path
For real estate,
for real estate or whatever you
it,
want to talk
it,
about?
it actually happened by accident because I was filming a podcast, funnily enough, with a friend of mine that was aimed at trying to help, especially young black boys, manage their temperament, manage themselves, and help them come across to people in the right way. And I was interviewing a friend of mine that owned an independent estate agency. We finished the podcast episode. I came out of his office, and on the wall was this big sales board, and it had about 30 different sales that have gone through. All of them, barring one, had his initials on it. And I said to him, well, my ego alone couldn't hack that. Like, I'm a competitive person. I couldn't have someone annihilate me like that. He had 4 people who worked in his office. When I came back 2 weeks later, everybody had gone. It was just him. So I spoke to my wife after that, and I was like, right, well, what do you think? Because I'm going to try this whole estate agency thing. So I called him, and I was like, right, don't pay me, because I'm not a seat warmer. I just want to see how it goes. And that, I think I did 2 days that 1 week, and then the rest of it was just 6 days a week, full on for the next 6 years. Now stepped out now underneath my own company, and off we go. So that's how it happened.
That's amazing. And wait, hold up. We gotta backtrack because you said a lot in there. But so wait, realtors get paid by the hour there on top of their commission, or is it just like commission?
It depends. So over where you guys are, the whole self-employed estate agent stroke realtor is a thing, and it has been a thing for a long time. Self-employed estate agency is only now starting to take off over in the UK. Historically, over here, you would join a company and you'd be paid a basic salary, and then on top of that, receive a small commission off of the sales of what you do. The other difference over here is you guys have to take a license relative to the state that you're in. Over here, it's not regulated. So anyone can walk into an estate agency office and go, I'd like to sell houses, and if they get through the interview, they've got a job and off they go.
Oh wow. That's interesting. That's cool.
Yeah, I
But
think
I guess it just changes the game because it makes sense to be the owner in that sense, huh?
but I think it actually loses something, because I've got quite a few friends that are realtors over in the States, and over there where you guys are, people refer to being a realtor as a career option. You know, it's something that it's passion driven. You end up having the right people in it because of how regulated it is and the hoops you have to go through. Over here, people just try it and they treat it like it's a job, and it means that the service that people get ultimately is a lot lower. You know, you don't get that passion and drive from everybody that walks through. You know, it's starting to increase now as self-employed agents are becoming more of a thing. That's starting to get better, but estate agents over in the UK aren't highly regarded by the general public. Let's put it that way.
Oh no, that's crazy. So you're out there changing the game and changing the narrative because I feel like you provide a lot of value in your videos. So maybe that translates when you're working with customers, like you give them that warm touch.
That's always the aim. Like, I mean, even like just recently, I was hired by a auction house to just to facilitate viewings of the property. As it turned out, I've only just got offered that one now. But as it turned out, I ended up staying past that point, then working alongside the freeholder that owned the actual whole building for free, because she was a senior black lady that didn't really know what her obligations and responsibilities were. And the way that
Yeah.
the property had been set up insurance-wise, it wasn't right and it didn't work. So, and when I was talking to various different people, it was quite clear that she didn't know what she was doing and she had no one beside her to tell her what to do or to coach her through things. So I did that role because my mum didn't raise me to just leave people in the lurch. So that was that.
That was good. That was so nice. I trust you appreciated that, 'cause especially being a senior, they get taken advantage of so much.
Exactly. And that's why I did it.
So it sounds like there was a big shift in what you were doing, whatever you may have been passionate about in the past, to when you got walked into your friend's office. Can you walk us through that journey?
Well, yes and no. So there's a big difference in terms of the actual thing that I was doing because I was very heavily into fitness before. So everything before that was all because I was a gym manager. Then I opened my own gym. I was a competing natural bodybuilder for 5 years, through 5 shows, and then just made the switch over to real estate. But what I realized was I wasn't really in the fitness game as a personal trainer because I was training people for like 25, 26 years. I wasn't in the personal training game for the gym aspect. It was the people. I liked helping people get through stuff. And I found that the same things, because I mean, I was a relationship coach as well for a while. So I found that people is my connective tissue and helping them achieve something, do something, turn a page, leave someone, get with someone, whatever it may be. So there's a lot of, whilst the industry is different, all of the bits that matter are the same.
So I was just thinking the same as you were saying that. One has to be dedicated, one has to have a plan, one has
Yep.
to make sacrifice. So what are some of the skill sets that you brought from one industry to the other?
Being able to read people very quickly, it was a requirement for as a PT. You had to be able to see, you had to be able to see the pain through what people were saying. So a lot of people will come and tell you what they want, but what they want isn't always a direct correlation to what they need. And your ability is to be able to see through that and deliver what they want, but also give them what they need alongside it. So that was a massive, massive correlation. The fact that I was self-employed as a personal trainer, and so I built up that resilience to, some months where money's not great and all the rest of it. So having that certainly made me more battle ready, should we say, for when I stepped into real estate. And then also having a passion for people, that definitely helped. And also great communication. You need that in a gym, and it's a massive thing that you need in a estate agency.
Yeah,
So
communication is everything for sure. Go, Gavin.
what challenges did you face along the way with transferring or transitioning from the fitness industry to the real estate industry? And how did you overcome those challenges?
Well, first thing personally was I no longer, for the first time in like 25 years, I didn't have to go to the gym. I had to choose to go. For all this time, work was gym. So trying to fit that in for myself personally, I've had to now I'm in a gym at like 4 a.m. most mornings, to actually fit that in. So that was a massive shift, a massive shift personally. Um, Starting something new and having to learn something new in my late 30s, early 40s was also a big thing. You put me in front of someone and say, right, well, design this person's exercise program for any age. Could do that with my eyes closed. But now I had to go, right, well, now I've got to learn different bits about properties, how that goes, learn the sales process, learn how I can manipulate it to make sure it works for different people. Like that was a massive challenge as well. And then also getting dressed in, I had to get dressed in suits and what have you. When I first started, I spent my life in tracksuit bottoms and trainers for like God, as long as I can remember. Now now under my own business, I refuse to wear a shirt, as you can see, but we're a lot more formal.
I hear you. Getting used to just being in relaxed clothing, it definitely does something to you.
Yeah, it is.
And then
It is.
having to switch it up to suits. So like, do people really care? Because I've had realtors come with like t-shirts and basketball shorts. So does it really make a difference in London? Like, do people really, are they really judgy with that, with the clothing?
It's starting to, as I said, it's starting to dilute. The estate agency realm, should we say, over here, it has existed with shirt, tie, suit. That's what it's been forever. It's only starting to change now, courtesy of the internet and everybody now seeing what the rest of the world are doing. Now that's where now it's become a bit more relaxing. You've got a bit more choice in how you present yourself. You know, like shows like Selling Sunsets, $1 Million Listing, all of those things really opened up the world to what opened the UK up to how the rest of the world are actually doing this business, and has caused it to change, and that's where that evolution is coming from.
Okay, yeah, it makes sense. The TV shows that we watch definitely influence us a lot,
Yeah.
and how we move, how we navigate. When you were speaking about being a fitness trainer, I was like, oh my God, I have so many questions, but we gonna see on task.
Feel free to ask what we need to.
We gonna see on task. So like with everything that you've overcome and all the people that you dealt with, how would you define success? And has that definition changed over time?
I think it depends what success in what? Success in business or success in.
That's up to you to decide how you want to answer it. It's
I think like
open-ended.
with most things, it's finding the strand of happiness in what you do. That's what I would class as being successful at anything. There are people that are out there doing jobs right now that they're absolutely miserable with, and they're so content in that misery that they've not realized that misery is a choice. So learning that life is defined by your choices and having the courage to make the choices that are required to keep you happy is what I would suggest all class as successful.
That's good. That is good because you're right. A lot of people are miserable when they're working. Actually, you just reminded me, my sister, she was a project manager, and literally like a month ago, she chose to walk away from her job, and they tried to give her a hefty bonus that would have increased her salary by like 60,000, and she still walked away. And I was like, girl.
But this is the thing that we get, the media and everything fools us into thinking that money and happiness are connected. When the truth of the matter is they're so far apart. Money is a tool. It's not a destination. And so many of us are living our lives trying to get towards a figure and saying, well, when I get that figure, then I'll be happy. But the truth of the matter is, at any stage in your life, happiness is a choice. You can choose to be happy right now, and people delay it because the media and everybody else has got them convinced that, and then another £10,000 would give me permission to be happy. But the truth is, you've just got to give yourself permission. So that's why I think happiness has always got to be your success marker.
So
That is so
speaking
good.
of happiness and defining that for yourself, what type of impact do you want to leave behind, and how are you actively building upon your legacy?
I think my slogan has always been that my kid's life has to be better because I got here first. That's how I rotate on things. So it's making sure now that I make time, especially for my kids, to make sure that I'm present in their present and I'm there with them through the stuff that they need. I don't have to be there all of the time, but they need to be aware and know that I'm there if and when needed, and certainly for the significant points. Making sure that my kids understand exactly what we've just talked about, that happiness is a choice, and that they can choose to be happy in what they do, and also that they can choose to do things like what your sister did, which is actually really, really brave to step away from an industry that you've built your world around and to realize that it's not making you happy, and then to make the jump from there to something else, despite the fact that they're trying to keep you in there. That's also something I want to make sure my kids have got. You know, it's like the serenity prayer, you know, the courage to change things that you can.
That is so good. So, like, what are the types of things that you do to teach them? Is it just through storytelling, or like, what are your practices? How do you go about it? Which I know earlier in the conversation, you were talking about how you used to teach young men about emotional regulation. So, like, give us a tip. Give the audience like a scenario of how you would go about that.
Well, even if I take my 6-year-old now, he's at that stage now where strength and your ability, your own power is a big thing. These kids are at the age where they're defining their hierarchy amongst their social groups. So there's a lot of tussle going on, a lot of play fighting going on, and what have you. And teaching him to understand the difference between play fighting and real situations, and also to not make decisions about how you react to something in the moment, and teaching him how to take himself out of that moment for a second whilst in it. That's a significant thing. You know, I think a lot of us, we allow our emotions to just react to the situation that's going on, rather than taking that split second within it to look at it and go, okay, is what my gut is telling me to do the right thing to do, or is there an alternative way of navigating my way out of it? You know, I had my elder son. He's 17. He had a situation not so long ago where his mum had a bit of an altercation with a guy. She come back. She was obviously upset. He then was therefore very upset as a reaction because of that. His immediate reaction was to call me. It was late. I missed the call. So then he called, as he's been instructed to do, like my best friend that I'm going to go and see now. His next in line was to call him. So he called him. He got through to Wayne. Wayne spoke to him over the phone, de-escalated it. Then off we went. You know, so it's making sure that they've got those guidelines so etched into their heads that that's their reaction, to give themselves time to react accordingly.
That's good. Like you got actual system in place and you've made such a safe space for him to be able to call you, talk to you guys, talk to your best friend and know that he could call you. That's major because I feel like most kids don't have that, girls and boys. I mean, sometimes depending on the family that they were raised in, but for the most part, just having that guideline of knowing, like, okay, I need to think this through. So you were intentional, which tells me that before you even had this kid, like you were working on yourself and learning how to control your own emotions so that you could teach him. Because, you know, sometimes kids have tantrum and you have to be like, all right, I got to take a deep breath here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't always get it right. I mean, I lost my dad at a very, very young age, and that exposed me to the elements in a way that, you know, I had to get prepared very, very quickly. You know, and therefore, in order to make sure that the right things happened in my future, I became very, very systemized. So once I encountered something that was either good or bad, I built a system around it to make sure that the good happened more often than not, or the bad didn't happen as much. You know, and it's those sort of systemized processes that I pass on to my kids in the hope that they will find their own way of doing it.
So do you break it down like into steps for them, or do you like give them a
Well,
guide, or you just talk them through?
I mean, I try to sit down and talk to them about anything that they think is significant. So if something kicks off in their world, in their head, in their heart, whatever, you know, I just try to I make it known to them it's their responsibility to flag it. I'm not a mind reader, you know, but if it's flagged, I make sure that they are clear that I will always make time. It might not be right in that moment, but we'll schedule time to sit down and go through it. And that includes for all of them. Like my youngest, he's just turned 4, you know, so that's the same with all of them. So the 4-year-old, we talk through what's bothering him. 6-year-old, the same, and so on and so on.
That's
I've got too many
good.
kids.
That is so good. And it's so needed in this world. Like, that is kudos. Like, I have a 2-year-old, so I'm taking tips. I'm taking tips.
Well, the 4-year-old, you know, he's Some say like all my kids, I suppose the apple didn't fall off the tree, it went to a lower branch, but he's like a very condensed version of me. So his emotions can overflow very, very easily and very, very quickly. He's big for his age. No, but I'm very aware that I think he's going to be like, my dad was like 6'2"-ish, thereabouts. I think he's going to be that. So I'm looking at him now and I'm like, I need to teach him to be mindful of the way that people will greet him because he's a larger individual now, so that he can regulate himself properly.
Okay. So are you 6 feet too?
No, quite the opposite. 5'10". Yeah, I'm 5'10". So I didn't take after my dad, I took after my mum.
I hear you. I hear you. I'm only 5'5". I'm sure I hear you. So, what advice would you give to someone who is struggling to take the first step towards their passion?
Take your time. Don't get caught up into thinking that you have to do it now. You know, like when you take a look at some of the stars that we look up to, your Denzel Washingtons, your Morgan Freemans, you know, they didn't start at the beginning. Their break came later on in life, and sometimes I think we feel rushed into doing things because we've seen this 20-year-old that's making $1 million. We've seen this 18-year-old that's now making, I don't know, whatever it is on Bitcoin, you know, and you think at your 40-year-old mark, you're like, oh, crap, you know, I've missed my boat, I've missed my time. You know? So the first thing is to realize that you've always got time, you know, you've always got time. As long as you're kicking and living and breathing, you've got time, but also to take the time to decide what it is. But then once you're sure on what it is, take action.
That's good. Y'all hear this? Take your time. It's okay. You haven't left the boat. What's for you will never miss you, is what I got from everything you said. So what impact do you hope to leave behind, and how are you actively building your legacy?
The impact I hope to leave behind, I mean, as I said with my kids is one thing. The impact I hope to leave behind to the general public of the world is to follow your passions, is to not settle for what is just given to you, is to follow what you truly want to do, you know, and to have the courage to actually make those steps towards it. That's the if that's at the crux of most of the things that I do, that's it.
That's good. I like that. So can you share a pivotal lesson you learned that has shaped your journey?
Pivotal lesson. Life is one big lesson. I think when I had to step away from my gym, I think that was the biggest one. You know, 'cause it was. I've learned that like God will send you signs. You know, when it's time for you to move, and if you don't listen to the signs come back again and again and again, and they increase in their intensity. You know, when I had the gym, things have got very stressful. I should have left earlier than what I did. On the day that it all came to the top, I remember I was in the office. I pulled an all-nighter trying to work out how I was going to get the bank to break even and then for it to work out. My gym opened at 6 o'clock, and I remember looking on the security cameras and seeing one of my instructors come in, but I was in bits at that point. It was like tears, all sorts of stuff. And I didn't want him to see me like that. So as he came in through the front door, I went out the fire exit. I was in such a state I couldn't drive, so I just started walking. I ended up outside this doctor's surgery, and then funny enough, the doctor was coming in early that day, and she was one that sort of sat with me and talked to me. And as we went through stuff, she was like, "Oh, it felt like I was having a heart attack," is what it felt like. But she was like, "No, it's basically it's a panic attack." But then she said to me, she goes, "But that's basically God's warning sign that if you don't do something now, the real deal is coming later." And so at that point in time, I had a conversation with my business partner and various, and had to exit the business because whilst I'm very passionate about the gym and fitness, the business was killing me. You know, the business of running a health club was killing me, and I had to step out of it. So that lesson there taught me to listen to the signs. You know, don't ignore them. Not every, you know, we get caught up with these slogans that you see online where people go, you know, if you've got to work through the pain, you've got this, that, and the other. Let's not forget what pain actually is. It's a signal but something's not right. You know, you need to go and work out what it is that's not right, not just ignore it.
Wow.
If you could
So
be
like,
remembered for one thing, what would it be and why?
Remembered for one thing. Jeez, that's hard. That's hard. If I could be remembered for one thing, that he didn't give up, that he didn't give up, that he persevered, he didn't give up. And I think, and the reason for that is because I think that's one of the biggest things that we can teach our kids when they're kids, you know, is that, you know, you don't give up on yourself.
that is so good. And going back to your other point, like, so that doctor was pretty much like your guardian angel, like talking you through that
Yeah,
anxiety attack that you were having, and helping you realize how extreme or where you were at that helped you like kind of do that pivot and transition. It's almost like God sends you like guardian angels that kind of like are there when you need them most. Um,
I think so. And they come in different faces and races, you know, in different circumstances, and very often when you least expect it, because that's the only time that you're actually truly listening. When we're in the middle of what we think we know, our ears are closed because it's what we know. So you have to be dropped in a situation where it's an oh crap moment where you're like, oh, I don't know what to do, which opens your senses to be able to hear the message that's in the middle.
that is good. That is so true, so true, so good. Um, Yeah, this has been lovely. Like, I really enjoyed this conversation and speaking to you about all the stuff that you've been doing. So let us know. Tell the people like where they can find you, what's your handle, how they can reach you if they're interested in learning more about you or you're doing business with you via, you guys call it estate planning or what was that word?
Yeah.
You guys call it estate or estate planning?
Yeah, so it's a state, we call it estate agents.
State
So estate agents,
agency.
yeah. No, I mean, not that I'm a marketing genius, but all the handles are the same. So all of my handles across whatever it is, it's just Andrew_Grossett, whether that be YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, they're all the same. So it's really easy to remember and to find.
Awesome, awesome. We'll also make sure to put it down in the bottom. Again, Andrew, thank you so much for joining us today. It's definitely been a pleasure interviewing you, hearing about how like you handling your children and helping to put people first. Like I really did appreciate learning about that. As you can hear, my son just joined us. So thank you all for watching and stay tuned.